Hello, welcome to the Permission Mission Show. My name is Mary McElhatton. I am your host today, and we are going to talk about finding your own truth while honoring, of course, all of our awesome fathers out there getting ready to come up on Father's Day this weekend. I have two fathers that have been a big influence in my life. They have both since passed on, and I just want to put a shout out there to think about them today. Kenny, my daddy Kay, and then my father Leonard Gefkin. I have a moment when it felt for the first time that I understood what a father's role was. So my father, I didn't grow up with my biological father. I had a stepfather for many years, and I used to kind of think that my real father wasn't such a great guy until I really got to know him towards the end of his life. He was an awesome, awesome father, and I'm going to tell you why. So I was traveling down to California, about a 4 or 5 hour trip, and he had been diagnosed with an illness. And what had happened was I was just kind of traveling down there as much as I could to be with him and just really get to know him and let him know how much I appreciate and love him. And one of the visits, I was getting ready to pack up to leave, and he just handed me something. And I thought, what is he giving me? And he handed me, it was like $40 or $60. And I was like, Dad, I'm good. I'm good, Dad. And he goes, no. He goes, listen, you always have to be prepared. And I just lost it. Like, I just was like, oh, okay. Like, the love I felt, it was so unconditional. I felt for the first time like he had my back. The other story is from my stepfather, who used to get me up at 3 a.m. in the morning, more times than I want to brag about. I used to hate it. He'd take me fishing. He'd take each of us kids one-on-one fishing, 3 o'clock in the morning. It was typically raining in Illinois. We'd sit out there on the boat or on the dock, and it would just be so quiet. And I kept thinking to myself, this is the most boring thing I've ever done. I would much rather be sleeping. You do not need to get up this early to go out and catch fish that I am not going to eat because I did not like fish. And it didn't dawn on me until what a great thing he had done was when we were doing his service, his memorial celebration of life. It was right near the lake. And it dawned on me that what he was teaching me was to take a moment out of crazy life, go fishing, go sit by the dock, watch the water, just relax and let life, crazy life, go for a few minutes. So those are just a couple of many really neat times that I got to spend with my fathers. I will tell you, I did not appreciate them while they were alive as much as I do now that they're gone. And I think a lot of people out there will probably say that is, gosh, I wish I would have spent more time, or I wish I would have said the things I wanted to say, or, we just think that we have all this time in the world, or we think that we have those parents that weren't the greatest parents in the world. Let me tell you, I know some of the greatest parents in the world, which is me, and I still screw it up. So there's no such thing as having it all together when it comes to either fathering or mothering children, because they do not come with instructions, and we do not have as much control as we wished. Here's how I found that out. My daughter, 7 years old, one morning, totally in meltdown. Not happy camper at all. She's whining and she's frustrated and she's stomping her feet. And I'm sitting here looking at the other kids going, what's the deal? Did you guys say anything to her to upset her? And they're going, no, Mom, she woke up mad today. And I'm doing my best to calm her down. And I'm just simply not sure what to do with this situation. She's like, you're all dressed up, ready for school. You look beautiful. And she says to me, no, Mom, I am ugly. What? No, 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 no. I, for 7 years, have told you almost every single day how beautiful you are. No, Mom, the little boy on the at recess on the playground told me that I am ugly. And she's sobbing and crying. I wrap her in my arms and I tell her, well, that little boy doesn't know you. And that little boy didn't mean to say that because that little boy doesn't know what ugly is really. You know, whoever made up ugly and pretty, I think is the same person who said, don't talk about death. That's the reality of it. We make up these things about life that we think are for the better. And sometimes it's just not. That little boy, he was just doing what he's probably learned. My daughter, after 7 years of me and her father and her siblings always telling her how beautiful she is, all of a sudden, one person comes along and guess who she's listening to? That is the day that I figured out that as far as a parent's role, there's more influence outside of my home than there is on the inside. But hey, I got to deal with it this way because it's not going to change. I want her to be out in the world. I want her to learn about great things. I want her to learn about hard things. And I certainly want her to find her own truth about the beauty that lies inside of her so that she doesn't have to take it from somebody else who's just in a moment, who just decides to say something that they know, that they think is okay to say, when in actuality it's not, because here this little girl didn't believe 7 years of something, all of a sudden just a few seconds thinks that she's not pretty, and that is simply not the truth. I think that all people have a beauty inside of them, and I think that all people have a talent inside of them, and I think that all people should have a fair opportunity of just living the best life that they have while they can. Permission mission is normalizing the conversation of mortality so we can find peace in the passing, peace in the preparing, and basically just let this conversation be had. Because another thing happened. My father, when he got sick, he called me. I shared it in other shows. I'm 10 of 11 children, and he decides to call number 10 to talk to me about his diagnosis and that he had a short time to live and that he wanted me to plan it all out. Now, I at first said no. I said, no, call number 5, call number 2. I don't think I can do this. It's not something I even know about, and I didn't even know where to start. He said, listen, Mary, I have to have you because you're Mary Margaret Motormouth, and I want to get my day just right. And you know what? He did. As a matter of fact, both my fathers, both the people that had such an influence in my life, I was a part of helping them go through that last stage of life. And I never felt more close than all the years prior to that. So I'm just talking with you out there. You know, if you think you've got another day with your dad, please just know that it could be the last. If you have a father out there that wasn't the greatest father in the world, I think this weekend could be a different day for you. Acknowledge him for the father he was and also the father he wasn't. Because when we're in a parent role, I'm telling you, no matter how well we want to do it, we just screw it up somehow in some way. There's no perfect life for any of our children, nor would we ever want them to. When I went through this experience with my dad, and every day we talked about his passing, every day we just talked about what he wanted, what his wishes were. He talked about the messages he wanted for his children, the wisdom he wanted to leave. He talked about for his grandchildren, for his great-grandchildren, even his great-great-grandchildren not living yet. And what I learned from that time with him, as hard as it was every day, I was like, oh, I don't think I can do another day. He said, no, you can. Because see, I'm not stressed about it, Mary. I'm okay with knowing the days are numbered. On the other hand, you are simply going to stress out all the time because you won't know when your day is. And I don't know which is better or worse. Do we want to know when our day ends, or would we rather just have it happen? I don't have that answer. But what I did learn, and the gift that my father gave to me, that I share with all of you out there today. The gift that he gave me was the value of his life through passing. His acknowledgement of his life going to end soon helped me to understand, number one, that I don't have much time to get to know him or to talk with him about things that were hard, or to acknowledge the father that he was and also the father that he wasn't. And sometimes, as a mother myself, I get it. Like, I cannot always do and be and save, and it's a big role, one that's too big for one or two people to fill. So when we talk about the value of life, there is a value of death as well. And the death part of it is what brought me very close. It brought me closer. It allowed me to ask those tough questions. It allowed him to say to me, like my father handing me that $40 or $60, I don't remember, it could have been $1 million and it would have felt the same way. But what he was saying to me was, be prepared. I just want you to be prepared, because one day life will be here and then one day it's not going to be. So for any father out there, you have an opportunity to sit with your daughters or your sons and say to them, let's sit down and just talk for a few minutes about end of life and how it happens, and how sometimes it's unexpectedly, and sometimes we actually have times like my dad, who got to really think about it and ponder about it and make amends with everybody. He was calling everybody he knew that he had wronged and said something, and he wanted to apologize. So not all of us get that opportunity to do that. So it was very special to watch somebody who did. Fathers, lighten up on yourself a little bit. I expected so much out of my dads, so much, while they were alive. And now that they're gone, I tell you, none of that stuff mattered. None of it mattered. What matters to me now is that I can honor them and do things that they did tell me to do that I didn't want to do. As a matter of fact, I'm just driving here today and there's a sign that says slow down. I was the gal who drove fast in cars, okay? That's why I've always had a granny car. You'll always see me in a granny car, because I'm that girl who loves fast motorcycles, fast cars, get the truck and just go and have a good time. And both of my fathers would tell me, Mary, slow down. When I'd make the trip to California in 4 hours, which typically was 4.5 to 5 hour drive, my dad would say, slow down. So I'm driving here today and there's a sign that says slow down. And I slowed down, of course, because I was speeding. And I thought, wow, all the things that I wished that I would have listened to when they told me, they try and tell you things just in the moment, but as kids, right? Don't want to listen, don't need to listen. I've got this. It's my life. I'm an adult now. Let me tell you, I'd go back any day and go back and say, I hear you, Dad. I hear you. And now today, they obviously they haven't left me, because I see the sign that says slow down and I slow down and I'm like, okay, like maybe they really don't leave us. I don't know all that. I just know that in my heart, I really appreciate them for who they are, who they weren't, and know that they were doing the best job they possibly could, because no one's got the answers. These are the two answers we do have, though. We can live life to our very best, and we can also prepare to die at our very best if we have an opportunity to. And Permission Mission just gives you that practice. Every week I come on the show. I'm looking for more and different ways to honor the lives that have been lost. Also, prepare for the ones when we will pass away. So I don't know what you expected out of today's show, but when it comes to Father's Day, I just think that it's, there's more pressure put on fathers today than any time that I've witnessed in my lifetime. There's a lot of pressure for them to do it all the right ways. And I think when you just sit down with your kids, like my fathers did me, hand me $20, $40 just to say, hey, I got your back, or just simply say to them, I know it's a hard conversation, but I love you guys so much. And I just want you to know that one day I'm going to die. Think about what that would say to a child. As scared as I was as happy I was later that we had prepared. And they had did the father job, the hard father job, to make sure that I was ready for it, and to also make sure that they set everybody up well in the end, to just acknowledge their life well lived. And if I could say to them today, man, you did a good job well done, because it was awesome to have that final gift that keeps me going every single day, to appreciate somebody else's life, to appreciate my life, to appreciate telling my grandkids or my great grandkids to come back and watch this video and be like, oh man, she really did talk about death a lot, didn't she? And they just get it one day when it happens, and how it'll feel differently because it's been talked about. I think that is the greatest gift anybody could ever anticipate or ever expect. I live with this gift every day. I honor my fathers. I honor all of you out there. Any father out there, if you think you're not doing good, you're not doing good, just pick up the phone then and just start talking. Talk with those kids. Maybe start with a sorry. I don't know, or I've screwed it up this far, but hey, I can't screw it up anymore, and get back in their life and just let them know how much you care about them. And then forgive those fathers that taught us. I was thinking, something I said to my kids often, and it typically wasn't at a good tone, okay? I would say, you guys, you know what? You're just like your father. Now, it wasn't like, well, you're just so much like your father. It was, oh my gosh, you're just like your father. And I stopped saying that now. I don't want to say that, because I want them to be who they are. What I've learned, nobody can be me. My kids, I'm taken already. So when it comes to finding your own truth, find your own truth by you figuring out what's important to you, by you acknowledging your life matters, by you acknowledging that life ends. It brings a different perspective. It's the gap that's been missing for a long time in the world. Why aren't we as happy as we want to be? Or why are kids not talking to us anymore as we're getting older? Our kids don't reach out to us as much. I think it's the gap that, if we were to be honest, we would just fill it with conversation, because we don't have a problem with disconnection. We just have a secret problem where we're not talking about things that are really important, things that can matter today that may not matter, down the road or prior, but today. We have only today, and today is the gift of just living, breathing, accepting, being powerful, and enjoying what we do have, and appreciating what has already been lost. So I'm not going to ramble on too much more, because I just think that when it comes to mortality, it's just a practice. Every week, it's just a practice. It's a practice for me, because I don't have it all together, you guys. I don't, or please don't think that I do. I still get nervous thinking about how I'm going to bring this conversation up with my 13-year-old grandsons. They're getting to that age now. They're getting older. And I'm still nervous about, like, am I going to screw it up? Will I say the wrong thing? Will I put fear in them? And then I just say, stop, Mary, just stop. Just keep going with the Permission Mission show. Keep trusting the process. Keep getting the conversation to be open. No more secrets. This is not one to be kept ever. It's not one to be kept. The precious gift that I received from my two fathers by talking about their end of life will forever and ever be the greatest gift that they ever gave me. It supersedes anything before. So that's the opportunity I give all of you. I do have a show coming up next week. I've got a gentleman who will be joining us. His name is Stephen London. Stephen London is a controller for the Better Business Bureau, serving the metropolitan New York. He is going to talk about money. Yes, money. None of us like to talk about money because it stresses us out, especially the ones who don't have a lot of it. Also for the ones who do have a lot of it, because sometimes that can open up a can of worms as well. Kind of brings people out of the woodwork because, right, they're going to ask you for some money. But we're going to get to the nitty gritty of it. And Stephen's got some really great points about the cash. Some questions have come up in front of me lately about Bitcoin and currency, and is that going away? And Stephen, I was fascinated by some of the things he was sharing, how his beliefs and just his study and things that he has watched over the last 15 years. And he's going to share that with us next week on the show. You can always, please share this video. Share it with your loved ones, share it with your friends, share it with your grandkids, share it with your nieces, your nephews, especially if they're getting around that age of, I'd say 14 on up. 14 was when I lost my brother, and it was the day that was never the same. And I wish that someone had said to me when I was 13 and sat down with me and said, you know, death is a real event. Death can happen. It can happen in our family. It can happen in yours. And I just want to just talk with you about it. There's a couple things you want to know. And the biggest thing is that, you know, one day I'll go and one day you'll go. And, you know, if anything, we'll just keep talking, that it's an acceptable conversation. So last thing I'm going to leave you with, well, two last things, the 5-second rule, right? 5-second rule, favor inside. Make sure that you are putting the oxygen mask on yourself. Make sure that you are eating healthy. Make sure that if you have any health scares or issues or aches, pains, whatever, go get them checked out. Just go get it checked out. It's better to not stress. It's better to know than not know. Value life, value death, value the air we breathe, and then with everyone and everything, because everything does matter and everyone does matter, as much as people want to say that they don't. At the end of the day, I promise you, when somebody passes away, they're not thinking about all the fights they had prior to that. They're now thinking about all the amends they would rather have made before that person passes. The last thing I'm going to leave you with, for all of you fathers out there who are afraid to date women with children, this message is for you. I am now 20 years married to my man, Dan, and he met me with 4 children. And I cannot tell you how many times I had heard in conversations where it would come up that I had a lot of baggage. Okay. That's pretty heavy for me to carry around, along with 4 children. I'm thinking, okay, I am divorced at this time. I am thinking, oh, am I going to be an old maid? What's going to happen? I've got all these kids. I don't know how this is all going to play out. So I realized one day, after meeting Dan, after him asking me to marry him, after all the things moving forward, right? Any new marriage goes through. It wasn't easy, but I will tell you today, 20 years later, I never had baggage. Okay? Listen to me, ladies out there. Your children are not baggage. you just make sure to remind the man that it's luggage, okay? And luggage, the difference between luggage and baggage is heavy and you got to carry it all over the place. But when you've got luggage, you are going places and you will go places you never expected to go. I am so grateful that I took another chance to love again and let somebody love my children, their fathers in their life as well. He is a good father, but having the trust to understand that I don't have a lot of baggage, I have luggage, and we are traveling and we are going places. And my kids get to experience having somebody else in their life to love them too. Because I still hear it out there today. Men are afraid of getting involved with other women with children. It's not always the case. So, women, hear me out. Women, don't bring the baggage. Bring your luggage and show up. Take them places you never thought you could go and places they never thought they would be able to go. So y'all have a great week. Permissionmission.com is my website. I do have a contact page in there where you can reach out to me. Let me know of something that you would like me to share on the show. I also have a contribution page up on my Permission Mission show. Believe it or not, it does cost money to do a show, to put information out there, and I appreciate anybody's support. And then also just share. You can always share this video today on Facebook, Permission Mission, also Mary McElhatton, Permission Mission, and WWDBTV.com, YouTube channel for Permission Mission. And every Friday at 11 a.m., we broadcast here live here in Las Vegas. Thank you for joining the show today, and I can't wait to see you next week. Have a great week, everyone.